Welcome to League and More. We're looking at the Brisbane Tigers bid for the NRL competition, which is coming up shortly. They'll have a decision in the next couple of months, or likely just have presented their submission. With the subject that we're talking about with some subject matter experts is the Firehawk, which is the logo of the Brisbane Tigers motto for what they're trying to enter this team into the NRL. So I'm joined online by Dr. Steve DeBus, Paul Mander and Frank McCullough, various experts in their own fields, and I'll go through and have a conversation with each of these gentlemen. And please, boys, if you've got some comments to add along the way, please jump in and let us know. So if I can start with you, Steve, how did you get involved in studying raptors and especially the Firehawk?
Oh, well, I was interested in raptors as a kid. Like when I moved to the country at about age 6 or something, you could see wedge-tailed eagles and in those days, they were shot and hung on fences, and I got really interested in birds of prey. And from there, I just sort of went through school and uni, looking at studying biology and so on, and then came up to Armidale to do a project as part of a graduate diploma, and I studied little eagles then, and I've been studying raptors ever since. I'm associated with the Uni of New England, so now I work. I'm lucky to be working doing bird of prey surveys. So, yeah.
Why raptors in particular, mate?
Oh, well, to me, they've always been those sort of spectacular birds. Like, they're great in the air, and you see them hunting and so on. And a lot of them are quite sort of farmers' friends type birds too, eating rabbits and things like that and other pests. So, all around, they're good to have around because they're at the top of the food chain and they're good environmental indicators and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
Okay. The Firehawks is linked to the Indigenous culture. I believe there's an article by a gentleman by the name of Bob Gosford that goes into this in a little bit of detail.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. He's been studying. I guess it's ethno-ornithology, which is what Indigenous people know about birds. And there've been legends for a long time, or the Aborigines knew about it. The fact that these hawks attend fires. Like I've seen black kites and brown falcons and so on attending fires up in the tropics. They wait for the fires to flush out things, and the Indigenous people said that they sometimes pick up and drop a burning ember, and for a long time that was sort of not really believed in Western scientific circles until Bob Gosford and his colleagues actually documented a lot of cases in the tropics where these birds are quite smart. They can I guess extend the fire front a bit by dropping a burning ember into new grass and flushing more prey out. Yeah, so it's interesting behaviour, and now they've sort of reclassified some of the kites and things that sort of more or less at the top end of the hawk family tree, so that they're quite the smart ones. Yeah.
So has there been any? Have they always been doing this? Is it a learned culture for the birds? How do they first begin, and how do they continue to teach their young all of these traits?
I guess they must learn by experience, but they've obviously known about it for generations. I mean, they probably attended Aboriginal fires before even Europeans settled Australia, probably thousands of years. I mean, they would have been associated with cultural burns on country by Indigenous people. Yeah, and I guess it's learning by experience. But I mean, these are the sorts of hawks that have got the capacity to also bait fish. I mean, they pick up a bit of bread from a picnic area and drop it in the water or something, and then catch the fish that come to feed on the bread. So they've got a few tricks,
I believe that it's obviously a known thing, but is there any eyewitness accounts? I believe there's nothing on film or evidence along those lines to verify this. Would that be correct?
Well, Bob Gosford and his colleagues, Mark Bonter, I think, was the senior author of that article. They did gather a lot of first-hand evidence. Like they interviewed people. They got a lot of first-hand information about it. There is a photo in their article of the hawks attending the fires. I mean, I've seen the hawks, brown falcons and black kites attending the fires, but I don't think anyone's actually managed to catch it on film yet, to my knowledge.
Yes.
But it'd just be a matter, I'm sure it could be done if people were just prepared to wait and watch at a fire front and then focus on a bird that did pick up a burning ember and drop it. Yeah.
Are you aware if this occurs anywhere else in the world, or is it unique to Australia, this practice?
as far as I know, I can't remember what, if anything, they said about the practices elsewhere. It may do. I mean, there's other similar environments overseas, and there's another really smart falcon type bird on the Falkland Islands off South America that seems to be equally intelligent. So I wouldn't be surprised, but I can't recall. I don't remember seeing any first-hand accounts of it happening overseas, but it wouldn't surprise me because the black kite does occur in tropical Africa, for instance, and Asia. So presumably there are grass fires there that they would attend, and maybe they pick up that trick there as well, but I just haven't heard.
The normal habitat for these three species of birds is typically Northern Australia?
The brown falcon is throughout Australia, but I guess it would most commonly, and same with the whistling kite, they're throughout, but I guess they most commonly encounter big grass fires in the tropics. The black kite's sort of a tropical and arid zone bird, but it has been moving south and coastwards in recent drought times. Like they've expanded their range south in recent years, and then they've even bred down near Melbourne now. So I think the drought has forced them to adapt and move a bit. But yeah, they're most abundant. All of those hawks are most abundant up in the tropics where grass fires are a common seasonal occurrence.
You mentioned that they're spreading their wings, so to speak. Is there any threat to them? Is there any chance of, are they nearing extinction? How are their numbers?
Oh, those three species are doing pretty well. The brown falcon has been declining in the sort of southern agricultural areas, a lot of cropping and that sort of thing. They're probably picking up agricultural poisons down in the south, but they seem to be still pretty abundant in the north. And whistling kites were sort of seem to be less common now than they used to be in past decades. After Mixo went through the rabbits, the whistling kites seem to have dropped off a bit in number, and because they're scavengers, they might be picking up poison baits and things like that. But so, yeah, the numbers are not what they used to be in the sort of southern agricultural zones, but in the tropics, they're still quite abundant. Yeah.
Anything else especially specific about these birds that you'd like to add, Steve?
Not that I can think of in relation to the firehawks, but it's interesting that the three species do it because the two kites are related to each other, of course, but the brown falcon's in a different family, so it's interesting that it's picked up the habit too. But it does attend fires like the other ones do, so I guess it's one of those things where they learn how to help themselves out by spreading a bit of fire and flushing out prey.
Yeah. Wonderful. Look, thank you for joining us this afternoon, Steve. I appreciate your comments and all of your expert knowledge. That's okay. Steve, you're a raptor biologist at the University of New England, as you mentioned earlier. So thank you again for joining us this afternoon.
Pleasure. Thank you.
If I can just jump on now to Paul. Paul is the bird handler and director of the Broadwings Raptor Training Centre. Paul, if you can tell us a little bit about it, your role as a director of, I presume it's your company?
It is, yeah. I've been in business now for 22 years here in Australia with birds of prey.
Okay, that's wonderful, mate. I see you've got a specimen behind you there. You want to tell us about that, little fella?
This little fella here is called Fenric. He's a 16-year-old black kite. So he's been with me for quite some time now.
He's making a bit of a racket too, is he? Is that him?
No, that's the macaws and the parrots in the background.
How did you get into studying the raptors, mate, and especially the firehawks?
Well, I've been working with birds of prey all my life. My father back in the UK used to train birds when I was growing up as a child. So I've been working with birds of prey now for over 40 years. And
what do you find special about them? What do you find interesting about the species?
They're very diverse species throughout. Between the variations in species, they have quite fascinating adaptabilities to surviving in the wild, and great indicators to how the environment's doing as a whole as well, being at the top of the triangle of predators in the sky. So,
and how do you think the country is handling the current situation, the current conditions, based on your comment?
Well, the birds of prey have already started to adapt very well here in Australia. I mean, we're talking about the firehawk and how they have adapted to taking advantage of Aboriginal fire stick burning, for many, many centuries. And today they take advantage of urbanization, of living around landfill sites and things like that, and and taking advantage of the feeding opportunities that come with that as well.
Do you have the 3 species there where you are?
I do, yes. I have brown falcons, whistling kites, and black kites as well.
Got a favourite? Are there any specific traits that they display, different traits?
Well, the brown falcon's very handy on the ground. They do a lot of running and chasing their prey on the ground, and the kites are aerial acrobats. Really, they're fantastic to watch in flight, and can pull off some quite amazing manoeuvres as well.
So, as well as the raptors, do you have any other species of around you there on your? Is it your farm, or what's the situation? What's your locality?
I have a bird of prey centre, and yeah, I have lots of species of birds of prey here. We have eagles, falcons, hawks, kites, buzzards, owls, all kinds of things. So
how do you get them into their natural environment, I suppose, so that they can display their traits, like the firehawks in lighting their fires and flushing out the prey?
Well, we free fly the birds every day, so we let them out of their enclosures and they take off and fly. I live here next to a national state forest, so they often do fire burning here, and the kites will go over the top of the forest and catch insects when they're rising from the tops of the trees as well.
Do you have any video evidence of them starting those fires and so forth? I was just talking with Steve earlier, as you would have heard, and there's nothing on video as such displaying that habit. Obviously, it's a known trait of the birds. So do you have anything like that at all?
I personally don't know, but I'm sure there would be footage out there of kites displaying that behaviour around fire fronts. I mean, as soon as they see a fire, I've witnessed it myself out in the Northern Territory, where the kites and the falcons will, and it's not just brown falcons and black kites and whistling kites, even black falcons and black-shouldered kites out there will take advantage of the fires as well. So, a number of species have learned to take advantage of that. But I'm sure there would be footage out there, but personally, I don't have any now.
Do you have a favourite species, favourite bird?
My favourite bird here is a bird called Soren. I've had him for 22 years, but probably one of my favourite species is the falcons.
Okay, that's wonderful. Look, anything else you'd like to add, mate, along the lines of the Firehawk breed and the raptors specifically?
Well, the Firehawk, I mean, really one of the most important things with those is they're very strongly connected with the Aboriginal fire stick burning, but they're also quite represented in a lot of their traditional dances and things like that as well. So they're a very important species to Aboriginal culture in general, and have been connected to them for many centuries.
I did a little bit of research as well, and there's in the Indigenous race, I believe they're used in religious ceremonies as well. I read somewhere. Are you aware of anything along those lines?
Yes, they do. Yeah. They've been connected to many Aboriginal ceremonies, the black kites or the fire kites over the centuries. That's for sure.
Wonderful, Paul. Well, thank you very much again for joining us this afternoon and sharing your knowledge and expertise on the raptor breed. We most appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Dale, for having me.
No problem. Frank, if I can just jump on to you. So Frank, we've got is the head curator at Lone Pine Sanctuary, I believe. So, mate, give us a little bit of a history on the site that you're working at the moment.
Yeah, mate, look, I've been here myself for the last 10 years. Lone Pine's been here a lot longer. We're into our 94th year of operation now.
Right.
So, a bit of a stalwart for Brisbane here, a bit of an icon for the area. So it's been going a long time, but we're going strong.
Yeah, it is. Look, and it's really well known around the Brisbane locality as well. What's involved in your role at Lone Pine there?
Mate, my role at the moment is managing the animal collection. So that's everything from our permitting through to the staff, through to exhibit design, making sure the animals have got enough food, making sure their welfare is taken care of, and coordinating with the vet teams, just managing the entire thing, really.
How did you go, obviously, with the COVID lockdowns and that might have been a difficult time, but you had to keep the place open and operational, obviously, for the animals?
Yeah, mate, yeah, no, it might have been, still is a difficult time. Our biggest base was our international visitors. So,
yes.
They're not coming back now until next year at the very earliest.
Yeah.
So we're just fortunate that we've got a good base of locals that, our yearly pass people that are supporting us. And it was tough times, but all the animals are cared for. everyone's going really well, and we're getting there. Road to recovery.
Wonderful. Of course, we're here to talk about the raptor species. Do you have any of that species, and in particular the three members of that species there at Lone Pine?
Yeah, mate. Look, we run a raptor show twice a day, and so far we've got a fair range of species included, from the owls, the eagles, falcons, and the kites. We have a fella here, Zorro, who's our black kite. He's our representative for the species.
Yep.
Named Zorro because he has this cute little black mask like right across his eyeballs. So he's got the mask of Zorro going on.
Yep.
And he's a unique 17-year-old lad. Not too different to Fenric there, Paul. Pretty close in age, I reckon.
Yeah. What's the show? What's the show involved, mate? That you mentioned.
It's all free flight, so it's birds out in the open, doing things that they would do naturally. We're not about circus tricks and flying through hoops and doing all that kind of stuff. We're about displaying the bird's natural ability, because that's exciting enough as it is. You got the black kite, which is doing all the acrobatics, catching the food in the air and just staying up there, eating on the wing, flying non-stop, through to the owls displaying their silent flight, their ability to hear even the most silent, softest noise, and the falcons displaying their speed and agility, and the eagles, they're just big. So we try to cover all bases. We have the big birds, the fast birds, and the unique birds.
As per the birds in the wild, are you able to give them that ability to start their fires and flush out? I know you're in Lone Pine, so you're in built-up Brisbane, but is there any ability for them to not start fires in suburban areas, but to do what they would do naturally in the wild? Yeah,
the whole process of getting the show up and running is about them displaying their wild abilities. I will admit that our health and safety lady does have issues with us letting our kites start fires, but so it's not something that we do regularly. But they do display all those behaviours that they can do out in the wild. For example, our falcons, we use robotic prey. They can chase that down. There's nothing better than seeing a falcon, hunt this fake prey, which is exactly like it would do in the wild. It's fantastic.
Wonderful. Anything else you'd like to add? Any of your favourites or anything like that at all, Frank?
My favourite is the falcons, but I go to the smaller end. There's a bird in Australia called the kestrel, Nankeen kestrel. It's my favourite. It's different colours between the boys and the girls. The boys can be quite striking, and they're just, as much as they're only a little raptor, they act like a big raptor all the time. We've had one here at the sanctuary, and it had no issues trying to chase off eagles and all sorts of other things. So, big at heart is raptors, and that's what I love about them.
Wonderful, Frank. Look, thanks for joining us. If just all the folk out there that are watching this, if you get an opportunity, get down and support the local Lone Pine Sanctuary. I'm sure that it'll be much appreciated during these difficult times. If I can just thank Dr. Steve DeBus, Paul Mander and Frank McCooler for their time this afternoon. It's been wonderful to understand a little bit better the raptor species and the Firehawks as such. Obviously, again, associated with the Brisbane Tigers and their opportunity and their hope to get into the NRL competition. So, again, gentlemen, thank you all very much for your time. We really appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful evening, and we'll catch up with you again sometime soon.
Good. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, guys.
Great to chat.
Thank you. Thank you.